After an argument, my daughter cancelled my ticket and left me alone at the airport in New York, without my phone or my wallet. A millionaire from a traditional family approached me and whispered, "Pretend to be my wife. My driver is arriving." Then he said, "Your daughter will regret leaving you. I am happy to have you here. Keep following my story until the end and comment what city you're watching me from, so I can see how far my story has reached. My name is Mary, and I am 64 years old. I never thought my own daughter would leave me stranded at an airport on the other side of the country, but that is exactly what happened 3 days ago in New York. It all started with what I thought would be a dream family vacation. Amanda, my 38-year-old daughter, had invited me to accompany her on a business trip to the West Coast. "Mum, it's about time you see the world," she told me with that smile that always melted my heart. "After everything you've done for us, you deserve this." For years, I had worked double shifts as a nurse to help her with the expenses for her 2 children. When her husband left her, I was the one who moved in to help with everything. When she needed money for the new house, I drained my savings. When the kids needed expensive school uniforms, I paid for them. I always said yes, because that is what mothers do. The trip had been wonderful for the first 4 days. We stayed at a luxurious hotel in downtown Los Angeles, visited the Griffith Observatory, and walked through the farmers market. Amanda seemed relaxed, even affectionate. For the first time in years, I felt like I had my daughter back. But everything changed on the 5th morning. We were having breakfast at the hotel restaurant when Amanda received a call. Her expression hardened as she listened. When she hung up, she looked at me with a coldness I had not seen since her rebellious teenage years. "Mum, we need to talk," she said, her voice completely different from the days before. "What is it, sweetie? Is everything okay?" "No, it is not okay." She leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with a hardness that scared me. "I just spoke to the kids' school principal. I need $25,000 for next year's private school tuition." My heart sank. "Amanda, you know I do not have that amount." "What do you mean you do not have it? You have always had money when I needed it." "Because I have been using my retirement savings, sweetie. What is left barely covers my living expenses." Her face completely transformed. The warmth she had shown during the trip vanished as if it had never existed. "Are you telling me you spent all your money on this idiotic trip instead of helping your own grandchildren?" "Amanda, this trip was your idea. You paid for it. You said it was a gift." "Because I thought you had money saved up. I did not know you were so selfish." The words hit me like slaps. For the next 20 minutes, Amanda screamed things at me that I will never forget. She called me a burden, a useless mother who had failed at everything. She said I had always been too soft, too cowardly to face real life. "Always needing someone else to solve your problems," she spat. "You were never a real mother, just someone who gave money when it suited you." When her outburst ended, she stood up. "Pack your things. I am taking you to the airport." "The airport? But our flight is not until tomorrow." "Your flight is today. I already changed your ticket." The ride to the airport was silent. I was trembling, trying to process what had happened. How had everything changed so fast? How could the daughter who had hugged me last night now look at me as if I were a stranger? At the airport, Amanda handed me my passport. "Your flight leaves in 6 hours. The gate is B23. "Amanda, please, let us talk. I do not understand what happened." "What happened is that I finally see who you really are." Her voice was cold as ice. "A selfish woman who thinks only of herself." "Selfish? I have given everything for you and the children." "Yes. And now that I really need you, you have nothing to give." She turned to leave. Then she stopped. "Oh, and your phone. I need to take it. It is under my family plan. My phone? But how am I going to communicate? That is not my problem. She held out her hand. Give it to me. With trembling hands, I gave her my phone. She also took my purse, arguing that the credit cards were also under her account. She left me with only my passport and $100 in cash that I had in my jacket pocket. Good luck, Mum, were her last words before disappearing into the crowd. I stood there, 64 years old, in a foreign airport, without enough money, no phone, and no way to contact anyone. For the first time in my life, I was completely alone. The next few hours passed like a nightmare. When I got to gate B23, I discovered there was no flight. Amanda had lied about that too. I tried to talk to the airline employees, but the language barrier made everything harder. I was sitting in a chair, crying silently, when I heard hurried footsteps behind me. I turned and saw an elegant man, about 50 years old, dressed in an expensive suit. He had an urgent expression on his face. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said in English with a slight accent. "Could you do me a very big favor?" I looked at him confused, tears still running down my cheeks. "I need you to pretend to be my wife for a few minutes. My driver is arriving, and there are some people I need to get away from. Could you help me?" I do not know why, but something in his voice made me trust him. Maybe it was desperation, or maybe I just needed someone, anyone, to treat me like I mattered. "Okay," I whispered. He helped me up, and we walked together toward the exit. While we waited, he looked at me with an expression I had not seen in a long time. Respect. "Your daughter is going to regret leaving you here," he told me quietly. I did not know what he meant, but his words stayed with me. For the first time in hours, I felt a spark of something I did not know I had lost. My own dignity. The car that picked us up was more luxurious than anything I had ever been in. The driver, an older man with a kind smile, greeted us and then spoke in clear English for my comfort. "My name is Robert O'Connell," he told me as the car drove away from the airport. "And you must be wondering what you have gotten yourself into." I nodded, still feeling as if I were in a strange dream. "I am Mary Miller, and yes, I am very confused." Robert smiled sadly. "I saw what happened at the airport. Your daughter left you there." "How do you know that was my daughter?" "Because I recognize that look. The same one my son gave me the last time I saw him 5 years ago." His voice broke slightly. "There is a particular kind of cruelty that only children can show toward their parents." During the drive to his house, Robert told me his story. He was a widower. He had 3 grown children who had cut all contact with him after a dispute over his wife's will. They wanted him to sell everything and divide the money immediately. He wanted to keep the family businesses together. "They accused me of being greedy, of putting money before family, he explained. "They did not understand that everything I built was for them, for their children. Now I do not know my own grandchildren." When we arrived at his property, I could not hide my astonishment. It was a modern yet elegant mansion, with perfectly manicured lawns and an impressive view of the city. Robert noticed my expression. "It is too big for just one man," he admitted. "But I cannot leave the place where I was happy with my wife." His housekeeper, an older woman named Elizabeth, greeted us and offered iced tea and cookies. Robert explained the situation, and she looked at me with maternal understanding before showing me a beautiful room on the 2nd floor. "Stay as long as you need," Robert told me that first night during dinner. "I have no hidden agenda. I just understand what it is like to be abandoned by those we love the most." The next few days were surreal. Robert was a perfect host, respectful, attentive, but not intrusive. He lent me a phone so I could try to contact Amanda, but she had blocked my number. When I called the house using Robert's phone, my oldest grandson, Ryan, who is 16 years old, answered. "Grandma, where are you? Mum said you went on a trip alone." "Ryan, sweetie, I am in Los Angeles. Your mum left me here." There was a silence. "That cannot be true, Grandma. Mum would not do that." "Ask her, Ryan. Ask her why I cannot come home." That night, Ryan called me back, crying. "Grandma, Mum says you're a dramatic liar. She says you left because you wanted an adventure, and now you are making up stories to make her look bad." My heart broke. Amanda had not only abandoned me, but she was poisoning my grandchildren against me. Robert found me sitting in the garden that night, crying. He sat beside me without saying anything for a long time. "Do you know what the most painful part is?" I finally asked him. "It is not just that she left me. It is that she is turning my grandchildren against me. She is making them believe I am the bad one." "Manipulators always rewrite the story," Robert told me gently. "My ex-daughter-in-law tells my grandchildren that I am a bad grandfather who does not want them. Now they do not even respond to my letters. How do you move on? How do you live with this pain?" Robert looked at me with wise eyes. I decided that if I was going to be alone, I would at least be surrounded by people who valued me for who I am, not for what I can give them. During the following week, Robert introduced me to his social circle. Other business owners, artists, professionals, many of whom had also faced family betrayals. For the first time in years, I found myself in conversations where my opinion mattered, where people listened to my stories of working as a nurse with genuine respect. "You have a very valuable perspective on patient care," a doctor told me during a dinner. "In my hospital, we need consultants with your experience." "Consultants?" I asked, confused. Robert smiled. "Mary, you have 40 years of experience in healthcare. That is worth gold here in Los Angeles, where they are expanding their health services." But while I was starting to feel valued for the first time in decades, a part of me was still hoping that Amanda would call, that she would apologize, that she would admit her mistake. I kept checking the phone Robert had lent me, waiting for a message that never came. One afternoon, while Robert was in a business meeting, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Amanda. "Mum, where the heck are you? The neighbors are asking about you." "I am in Los Angeles, Amanda, where you left me." "Do not be dramatic. I just needed time to think. Now come home. The kids need you." "Do the kids need me? Or do you need me back to watch them while you go out?" "How dare you? I am a hard-working single mother. And I am a 64-year-old woman who spent her whole life and savings helping you, only to be abandoned at a foreign airport. You have money to stay in luxurious hotels, apparently." "I am not in a hotel, Amanda. Where are you then?" For the first time in my life, I decided not to explain everything to my daughter. I am where someone values me. What is that supposed to mean? It means that for the first time in years, someone is treating me like I have worth beyond my wallet. The silence on the other end was long. When Amanda spoke again, her voice had a coldness that chilled my blood. "Okay, Mum, stay there with your new rich friends. But when you realize they do not really want you, do not come crying back." She hung up before I could answer. I stood there trembling, holding the phone, when Robert returned from his meeting. "Mary, what happened?" "My daughter called," I whispered, "and I think I just lost my family forever." Robert sat next to me, his presence reassuring. Sometimes losing toxic people is the only way to find ourselves. His words resonated in my mind that night. For the first time, I began to wonder if Amanda had always been like this, or if I was only now seeing the truth I had been denying for years. I had been living at Robert's house for 2 weeks when everything changed. I had started to feel comfortable, even useful. I helped Elizabeth with the meals, organized Robert's library, and had started giving English lessons to some of his employees. For the first time in years, I felt valued for something more than my ability to give money. That morning, Robert seemed nervous during breakfast. He kept looking at me as if he wanted to say something but held back. Finally, after Elizabeth collected the dishes, he cleared his throat. "Mary, I need to tell you something, but I do not know how you will react." My stomach tightened. "What is it, Robert? Is it about your daughter, Amanda?" My heart skipped a beat. What about Amanda? Did something happen to her? No, it is not that. Robert stood up and walked to the window, avoiding my gaze. "Mary, does your daughter work for a company called Global Tech Solutions?" "Yes, she is the human resources manager there." "How do you know?" Robert turned to me, his expression serious. "Because one of my companies has a consulting contract with them. I have been in several meetings there in the last 6 months." "Have you seen her? Have you talked to her?" "Yes, Mary, and what I have seen." He stopped, running a hand through his hair. "I do not know how to tell you this." "Just tell me, Robert, please." He sat across from me and took my hands in his. "Your daughter has a terrible reputation in that office. The older employees are afraid of her." "Afraid? Why?" "Because she treats them like dirt. I have witnessed her yelling at them, humiliating them in public meetings, threatening them with termination if they do not do exactly what she wants." Robert paused, seeing my expression of shock. "But the worst is what she says about older people in general." "What does she say?" "That they are a burden to companies, that they are there out of pity, that they should retire and make way for younger, more capable people." I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. That cannot be. Amanda is not like that. "Mary, last week I witnessed her making a 60-year-old secretary cry in front of the entire office. She told her she was too old and slow for modern work." Tears began to fall down my cheeks, but never with me. "With you, it is different because she needed you. She needed your money, your free childcare, your unconditional support." Robert squeezed my hands gently. "But now that you cannot give her what she wants, she is showing her true colors." "How can you be so sure it is the same person?" Robert took out his phone and showed me a photo. It was Amanda in an office meeting, but her expression was unlike anything I had ever seen. She had a cruel, contemptuous smile as she talked to someone out of frame. "I took this photo last week when she was yelling at an older employee for a minor mistake." My world reeled. The woman in that photo was my daughter, but she was also a stranger. How could I have been so blind? "There is more," Robert continued gently. "Yesterday, after our phone call, I did some discreet checking around. I talked to some colleagues who know her family situation." "What did you find out?" "That she has been telling people for years that you are a burden, that you live off her because you cannot fend for yourself, that she has to support you because you never learned to be independent." Every word was like a knife stab. "But I helped her for years. I paid her bills, I watched her children, I emptied my savings for her." "I know, but she rewrote everything. In her version of the story, you are the parasite." I stood up abruptly, feeling nauseous. "I need air." I walked out to the garden, Robert following at a respectful distance. I sat on the bench under the oak tree, where we had spent so many afternoons talking. But now everything felt different. Everything I believed about my relationship with Amanda was a lie. "How long have you known?" I asked when Robert sat beside me. "Since the second week you arrived here, when you told me your last name and where Amanda worked. The connection was immediate." "Why did you not tell me sooner?" because I wanted to be sure, and because I saw how much you love her, despite everything. Robert sighed. Also because I wanted you to feel strong before you knew the truth. Strong? I laughed bitterly. I feel destroyed. No, Mary, look at you. 3 weeks ago, you were abandoned at an airport, feeling useless and rejected. Now you are surrounded by people who value you, contributing your knowledge, finding your own voice. That is not weakness. He was right, but it hurt too much to admit it at that moment. There is something else you need to know, Robert continued gently. Yesterday, I called Global Tech to confirm some meeting dates. The secretary casually mentioned that Amanda had been bragging about her free vacation to Los Angeles. Free vacation? She told everyone that she had sent you on an all-expenses-paid trip to get rid of you for a few weeks, that she had finally found a way to temporarily dispose of her maternal problem. Those words completely broke my heart. It had not been a gesture of love. It had been a strategy to push me away. I also found out that she is already looking for nursing homes in the area. She has called 3 different places in the last 2 weeks. Nursing homes? I whispered, horrified. Her plan, apparently, is to have you declared mentally incompetent when you return so she can take control of whatever money you have left. The world collapsed around me. My own daughter had not just abandoned me, but she had been planning to lock me up to steal the little I had left. How can she be so cruel? I cried. I gave her everything, everything. And she took advantage of it, Robert said firmly. But Mary, listen to me closely. You are not responsible for someone else's cruelty, even if that person is your daughter. I could not sleep that night. I walked around the house, processing everything Robert had revealed to me. Every memory of the past few years was reinterpreted under this new light. The time Amanda had yelled at me in front of her friends. The times she had made me feel guilty for needing rest after watching the children all day. Her constant impatience with me, as if my presence were a nuisance. Everything made sense now. I had not been a deficient mother. I had been a victim. The next morning, Robert found me in the kitchen preparing coffee before dawn. Did you not sleep? I could not. I turned to him. Robert, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Of course. Did you invite me to stay here because you feel sorry for me? Robert looked me directly in the eyes. I am going to tell you the complete truth. At first, yes, it was compassion. I recognized the pain of family abandonment because I have lived it. My heart sank, but he continued. But in these 3 weeks, Mary, I have discovered that you are one of the most valuable people I have ever met. Your wisdom, your genuine compassion, your ability to find beauty even in pain. Do not stay here out of pity. Stay because you have so much to offer the world. For the first time since Robert had told me the truth about Amanda, I felt a spark of hope. Do you really think I can build a life here? A real life? I do not just think so, Mary. I know it, and I'm going to help you prove it to yourself. At that moment, something changed inside me. The woman who had been waiting for her daughter to value her died. In her place, a woman who was finally going to value herself began to be born. 2 days after the revelation about Amanda, Robert came home with a proposal that would change everything. Mary, do you remember I mentioned that we need healthcare consultants at one of my companies? I was helping Elizabeth fold clean laundry, an activity I had started to find therapeutic. Yes, I remember. Well, I was serious. I have a meeting tomorrow with the medical director of the new geriatric care centre we are opening. They need someone with real experience in senior care to establish the care protocols. I stopped folding and looked at him. Robert, I appreciate everything you have done, but you do not need to invent jobs for me. I am not inventing anything. He took a folder from his briefcase. Look at these documents. The project is real. The position is real. And frankly, after reviewing your experience, I think you would be perfect. I reviewed the papers. It was a luxury care facility designed specifically to provide high-quality care to seniors. The blueprints showed impressive facilities, but what caught my attention the most were the care protocols they had outlined. They were technically correct, but they lacked the human touch that 40 years of experience had taught me. These protocols are fine, I commented, but there are some things that could be improved. Like what? For the next hour, I explained to Robert the subtleties of geriatric care that are not taught in books, such as the importance of maintaining familiar routines, the correct way to communicate with patients with dementia, the small details that make the difference between clinical care and human care. Robert listened intently, taking notes. Mary, this is exactly what we need. Will you come with me to the meeting tomorrow? As what? As your guest? As the senior consultant I am recommending for the position. I barely slept that night, but this time it was from excitement, not pain. It had been years since I felt professionally valued. At the hospital where I worked for decades, my experience had become routine. Here, Robert and his team saw it as something special. The meeting the next day was eye-opening. The medical director, Dr. Stephen, was a brilliant young man, but clearly overwhelmed by the complexity of establishing humanized care protocols. We have studied the best centers in Europe and the United States, he explained, but we are missing something. Patients are technically well cared for, but families complain that there is a lack of warmth. Because you are treating people as medical cases, instead of as human beings with histories, I told him. An 80-year-old patient is not just someone who needs medication on time. They are someone who was perhaps a teacher, a parent, an artist. That history matters for their care. Over the next 2 hours, I showed them how small changes in protocols could completely transform the patient experience. How to personalize rooms with familiar objects. How to train staff to listen to stories, not just symptoms. How to create spaces where families felt welcome instead of tolerated. At the end of the meeting, Dr. Stephen officially offered me the position. The salary was more than I had ever earned as a nurse, $5,000 monthly, plus health benefits and housing. Housing? I asked, confused. We have apartments for senior staff in the same complex as the center, Robert explained. Mary, this would give you complete independence. For the first time in weeks, I thought of Amanda without pain. I thought of how she had seen me as a burden, as someone who could not fend for herself. Now I had the chance to prove the opposite, not to her, but to myself. I accept, I said, and I felt as if I had woken up from a decades-long dream. The following days were a whirlwind of preparations. Robert helped me get all the necessary documents to work legally in Los Angeles. He introduced me to an immigration lawyer who explained the process for obtaining permanent residency. With your experience and this position, you qualify for a work visa that can be renewed indefinitely, the lawyer explained. After 2 years, you can apply for permanent residency. Meanwhile, I started working with the center's design team, helping them create spaces that truly served older patients. It was work I loved, using knowledge I had accumulated for decades, but had never fully valued. Mary, do you realize how revolutionary these protocols are? Dr. Stephen told me one afternoon. We are creating a model that other centers are going to want to copy. A week after accepting the position, I received a call I had been waiting for. It was Amanda. Mom, when are you going to stop this ridiculousness and come home? The kids need you. Hello, Amanda, I said calmly. How are Ryan and Sophia? They are fine, but they miss their grandmother, especially Ryan. My heart contracted. I miss my grandchildren terribly. Can I talk to him? He is at school. Mum, let us be serious. This phase of independence has lasted long enough. It is time for you to return to your real life. This is my real life, Amanda. What is that supposed to mean? It means I have a job here, a real job, with a real salary, where my experience is valued. There was a long silence. A job? Mum, you are 64 years old. What kind of job could you possibly have there? I am a senior consultant at a medical center. I am helping establish geriatric care protocols. That is ridiculous. Who is going to give you a job at your age? They are probably trying to scam you. My boss is Robert O'Connell. You can look him up if you want. Another silence. Then I heard typing on a computer. I knew Amanda was looking up Robert on the internet. Mum. Her voice had completely changed. Are you living with a millionaire? I am living in the house of a friend who helped me when you abandoned me. I did not abandon you. I just needed space to think. Amanda, you left me at a foreign airport without money or a phone. That is called abandonment. Okay, maybe I exaggerated, but now you can come back. All is forgiven. Forgiven? I laughed without humor. You forgive me? Mum, do not make this harder than it has to be. I know you are upset, but you proved your point. Now come home. My home is here now, Amanda. Your home? Mum, what is going to happen when that man gets tired of you? When he realizes you are just a penniless old woman? Her words hurt me, but this time in a different way. They did not hurt because they were true, but because they revealed exactly what Amanda thought of me. Amanda, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Have you ever seen me as anything more than a free babysitter and a source of money? How can you ask me that? You are my mother. That does not answer my question. A long silence. When Amanda spoke again, her voice had that familiar coldness. You know what, Mum? If you want to play independent with your new rich boyfriend, go ahead. But when everything falls apart, do not come asking for help. I will not need help, Amanda. For the first time in my life, I am building something for myself. I hung up the phone feeling a strange mix of sadness and liberation. Robert, who had been reading in the living room but clearly listening to the conversation, approached. How do you feel? Like I just cut the last chain that tied me to a life that was never really mine. And is that good or bad? I thought for a moment. It is terrifying, but it is also liberating. Robert smiled. Welcome to your new life, Mary. That night, as I packed my few belongings to move into my new apartment near the medical center, I found the phone Robert had lent me. It had several messages from numbers I did not recognize. I checked them and discovered they were from neighbors and acquaintances from my old life. Mary, Amanda says you left with a rich man and abandoned her. Is it true that you left your grandchildren for money? Your daughter is very worried about you. She says that man is manipulating you. Each message showed me how Amanda was rewriting the story once more. But this time I did not care. The opinions of people who did not know the whole truth no longer had power over me. I deleted all the messages and turned off the phone. Tomorrow, my new life would begin, and for the first time in decades, that life would be completely mine. 3 months had passed since I started my new life in Los Angeles. The geriatric center had opened its doors 6 weeks ago, and we already had a waiting list. The protocols we had developed were working better than anyone had expected. Families spoke of the warmth of the place, how their loved ones were not just well cared for, but genuinely happy. Dr. Stephen had promoted me to Director of Patient Wellness, with a salary increase to $7,000 monthly. For the first time in my life, I had more money than I needed to live. My apartment was beautiful. I had genuine friends, and I woke up every morning with purpose. That Thursday morning, Elizabeth called me early. "Mary, dear, you need to come to Robert's house right now." "What is wrong? Is Robert okay?" "He's fine, but there is someone here who insists on seeing you. A young woman with 2 children. She says she is your daughter." My blood ran cold. "Is Amanda there?" "Yes, and she is very upset. She has been yelling for an hour." "I am on my way." The trip from my apartment to Robert's house never felt so long. My hands were trembling as the driver Robert had placed at my disposal navigated the morning traffic. What was Amanda doing in Los Angeles? And why had she brought the children? When I arrived, I could hear the shouting from the garden. Amanda's sharp, furious voice pierced through the closed windows. "This is ridiculous. I demand to see my mother right now." I walked in the front door and found her in the living room, pacing like a caged animal, while Robert remained seated in his chair, calm but clearly tense. Ryan and Sophia were on the couch, looking uncomfortable and scared. "Grandma?" Sophia ran toward me and hugged me tightly. She was 10 years old now. She had grown so much in these 3 months. "My love," I whispered, hugging her back. Ryan, now 17 years old, approached more slowly, but I could see the relief in his eyes. "Grandma, Mum said you were in trouble," Ryan murmured. "She said a bad man had kidnapped you." Amanda turned toward us, her eyes blazing with a fury I had not seen before. "Finally, Mum, grab your things. We are leaving right now." "Good morning, Amanda," I said calmly. "How have you been?" "How have I been?" Her voice broke into a hysterical note. "How do you think I have been? My mother disappears for 3 months, ignoring her family, living with a stranger, and you ask me how I have been." "I did not disappear, Amanda. You know exactly where I have been, because we have spoken several times." "Spoken? 5 minutes of conversation where you act like you are too important for your own family." Robert slowly stood up. "Mum, perhaps it would be better if we took this conversation to the study. The children do not need to hear this." "Do not tell me what is best for my children." Amanda turned to him like an attacking snake. "And do not call me ma'am. You are the one who is manipulating a vulnerable old woman." "Amanda," my voice came out stronger than I expected. "Do not talk to Robert like that. He helped me when you abandoned me." "I did not abandon you. I gave you space to reflect. You left me at a foreign airport without money or a phone, because I was being impossible. You are always so dramatic." Ryan came closer to me. "Grandma, is it true that Mum left you here?" I looked at my grandson, seeing the confusion in his young eyes. "Yes, Ryan, it is true." "That is a lie," Amanda yelled. "I bought her ticket home. She chose to stay." "Amanda, the ticket you gave me was fake. There was no flight." For the first time, Amanda fell silent. I could see on her face that she had not expected me to know that. That was a system error," she stammered. "No, Amanda, it was a plan. You wanted to get rid of me temporarily, but you did not expect me to find a way to stay." Sophia pulled on my sleeve. "Grandma, why would Mum do that?" I looked at my granddaughter, struggling with how much of the truth a 10-year-old could handle. "Sometimes adults make mistakes, my love. Very big mistakes." "They were not mistakes," Amanda exploded again. "Everything I have done has been for this family. I worked like a slave to support these children after their father left us, and the only help I had was you. And now you abandon me for the first rich man who pays you attention." "Amanda, I helped you for years. I emptied my savings. I worked extra shifts. I cared for your children as if they were my own. Why? That is your obligation as a grandmother. My obligation? The word came out like a whip. And what is your obligation as a daughter? I did not ask you to be born. The silence that followed was deafening. Sophia began to cry softly. Ryan paled. Even Robert, who had witnessed many family fights, looked shocked. You just said you did not ask me to be born, I asked slowly. Amanda realized what she had said, but her pride prevented her from retracting it. You know what I meant? I know exactly what you meant, and I finally understand who you really are. I turned to Ryan and Sophia. Kids, can you go with Elizabeth to the kitchen? I think she has fresh cookies. After the children left, I looked Amanda directly in the eyes. Now we are going to talk like adults. Finally. Yes, let us talk. This farce has lasted long enough. You are right. It has lasted long enough. I took a deep breath. Amanda, for years I convinced myself that your behavior toward me was because you were stressed, because you were a single mother, because you had a lot of pressure. But now I understand the truth. What truth? That you have never seen me as your mother. You have seen me as your personal employee, someone who exists to make your life easier. That is ridiculous. Is it ridiculous? Tell me, when was the last time you asked me how I was? Not my health. Not if I needed anything. When was the last time you cared if I was happy? Amanda opened her mouth. Then she closed it. She had no answer. Do you know what I have learned in these 3 months? I have learned what it feels like to be valued for who I am, not for what I can give. I have learned what it feels like to have conversations where someone actually listens to my opinions. I have learned what it feels like to be respected. I respect you. No, Amanda. You have never respected me. You have tolerated me as long as I was useful. Robert cleared his throat softly. Mary, maybe you should tell your daughter about your job. Job? Amanda laughed scornfully. Please, what kind of real job could a 64-year-old woman have in a foreign country? I am the director of patient wellness at the Crescent Medical Center, I said calmly. I earn $7,000 a month developing geriatric care protocols. Amanda's expression completely changed. That is impossible. You can verify it if you want. I also have a legal work visa, and am in the process of obtaining permanent residency. But you are just a nurse. I am a nurse with 40 years of experience who is finally working with people who value that experience. Amanda slumped into a chair, processing this information. $7,000, she murmured. That is more than I earn. Yes, Amanda, it is more than you earn. The woman you called useless and too old is earning more money than you. This cannot be happening, she whispered. You are supposed to need me, not the other way around. And there it was, the raw, naked truth. Amanda was not upset because she missed me. She was upset because she had lost control over me. I want you to know something, Amanda, I said softly. Despite everything you have done, I still love you. You are my daughter, but I am no longer going to allow you to treat me as if I have no worth. What is that supposed to mean? It means that if you want to have a relationship with me, it will be on my terms, with mutual respect, or it will not be at all. Amanda stood up abruptly. Are you threatening me? No, Amanda. I am giving you a choice. Her eyes filled with tears, but they were tears of rage, not regret. You cannot do this to me. I am your daughter. The children are your grandchildren, and you will always be welcome in my life if you learn to treat me with dignity. This is his fault, Amanda pointed at Robert accusingly. He has brainwashed you. No, Amanda. He helped me remember who I am. Amanda looked between Robert and me, her breathing ragged. Fine, fine. If this is what you want, if you want to choose a stranger over your own family, then so be it. But do not expect to see your grandchildren again. Those words hurt me more than anything else she had said, but I did not break. Amanda, if you use my grandchildren as weapons against me, the only thing you will accomplish is harming them, and they are better off without a grandmother who abandons them. I did not abandon them. I found my way back to myself. Amanda headed for the door, but stopped. When all this falls apart, when you realize you are just a silly old woman who was tricked by a rich man, do not come begging for us to forgive you. I will not, Amanda, because I finally understand that forgiveness has to start with forgiving myself for allowing you to treat me that way for so long. Amanda left the house, slamming the door, but not before yelling for Ryan and Sophia to follow her. I could hear their protests as she dragged them toward the waiting taxi outside. I stood there, trembling not from fear, but from a strange mix of pain and liberation. Robert approached and placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. How do you feel? Like I just got out of a prison I did not know I was locked in. 1 year after that confrontation with Amanda, I found myself sitting in my office at the Crescent Medical Center, reviewing the monthly reports. Our center had become the model for geriatric care across the West Coast. Delegations from other states regularly came to study our protocols. I, the woman my own daughter had called useless, was now considered an international expert. My desk phone rang. It was Elizabeth. Mary, dear, you have a call. It is your grandson, Ryan. My heart sped up. I had not heard anything from my grandchildren since that terrible visit 12 months ago. Put it through, please. Grandma? Ryan's voice sounded different, deeper. He was 18 years old now. Ryan, my love, how are you? I am good, Grandma. I just graduated from high school. Congratulations, my sweet boy. And Sophia? She is fine too. Grandma, I wanted to call you because... His voice broke slightly. Because I just turned 18, and Mum can no longer stop me from talking to you. Tears began to roll down my cheeks. Oh, Ryan. Grandma, I need you to know something. Sophia and I never believed the things Mum said about you. We knew you had not abandoned us. What did she tell you? That you had gone crazy, that the rich man had brainwashed you, that you did not love us anymore. Ryan paused. But we remembered. We remembered what you were like before, how you were always there for us. I have always loved you, Ryan. Every day of this year, I have carried you in my heart. We know, Grandma, and there is something else you have to know. What is it, sweetie? Mum lost her job 6 months ago. My stomach tightened. What happened? She was fired for treating older employees badly. Apparently there were a lot of complaints about her behavior. Ryan sighed. She has been working temporary jobs since then. She does not earn even 1/2 of what she made before. Despite everything Amanda had done to me, I felt a pang of worry. Are you doing okay financially? Do you have what you need? We are fine, Grandma. The truth is, things at home are quieter now that Mum does not have so much power over others. I think losing that job forced her to reflect. Has she mentioned anything about what happened between us? Sometimes, when she is very stressed, she says everything would be different if you were here to help, but then she gets mad at herself for saying it. I closed my eyes, processing this information. Ryan, can I ask you something? Do you want me to come back? A long silence. Grandma, I want you to be happy, and from what I have researched about your life over there, you look genuinely happy. You researched my life? Yes, Grandma. I found articles about the medical center where you work. I saw photos of you at conferences. You look radiant. You look like we had not seen you in years. The tears were flowing freely now. It is because for the first time in my life, I feel valued for who I am. Then we do not want you to come back if it means going back to being unhappy, but we do want to be in your life. Oh, Ryan, of course you can be in my life. How about you come visit me during the summer break? I can send you the tickets. Really, we can do that? Of course, my love. Robert has a huge house, there is plenty of room, and I would love for you to see Los Angeles. And Mum? That was the question I had been avoiding. If Amanda wants to come too, she can. But it would have to be with respect, Ryan. I can no longer tolerate her treating me the way she used to. I understand, Grandma. And I think she is starting to understand too. After the call, I sat in my office for an hour, processing everything Ryan had told me. Robert knocked on the door and came in. Is everything okay? Elizabeth said you had an important call. I told him about the conversation with Ryan. Robert listened in silence, nodding occasionally. How do you feel about them visiting? He asked when I finished. Excited, nervous, also worried. Worried about what? That if Amanda comes, she will try to… I do not know. Convince me to go back with them. Robert smiled gently. Mary, would you want to go back? I thought about the question seriously. I imagined going back to my old life, watching the children after school, cooking macaroni and cheese for Amanda, cleaning the house, being taken for granted again. No, I said firmly. I would not want to go back to that life. Then there is nothing to worry about. You are no longer the same woman you were a year ago. He was right. The Mary who had been abandoned at that airport was a woman defined by her usefulness to others. The Mary who existed now was defined by her own worth. 2 months later, Ryan and Sophia arrived in Los Angeles. Seeing my grandchildren again was one of the happiest moments of my life. Sophia, now 11 years old, ran toward me at the airport and hugged me as if not a day had passed. Ryan, tall and handsome, hugged me with more reserve but with equal affection. Grandma, this place is incredible, Sophia exclaimed as we drove toward Robert's house. Over the next 2 weeks, I showed them my new life. I took them to the medical center, where they met my colleagues and saw the work I was doing. I took them to meet my friends, who welcomed them with genuine warmth. I showed them my apartment, decorated with photos of them and memories of our family, but also with new memories of my life in Los Angeles. Grandma, Ryan told me one night as we ate grilled steaks and potatoes in Robert's garden, I have never seen you so at peace. What do you mean? Before, you always seemed stressed, like you were waiting for something bad to happen. You are different here. You are yourself. Sophia nodded vigorously. Yes, and everyone here respects you so much. At the clinic, that doctor said you were the wisest person she knew. Because here they see me for my experience and knowledge, not just as the grandmother who runs errands. On the last day of their visit, Sophia asked me a question that broke and healed my heart at the same time. Grandma, can I come live with you when I finish school? My love, why would you want to do that? Because you are happy here. And when you are happy, I am happy too. That night, after the children went to sleep, Robert and I sat in the garden as we had done so many times over the past year. Are you thinking about what Sophia said? He asked me. Yes, it is tempting, is it not? Having my grandchildren here with me. But I do not want them to come for the wrong reasons. I want them to come because they are building their own lives, not because they are escaping Amanda. That is very wise. Robert, there is something I have wanted to ask you for months. What is it? Do you ever regret helping me that day at the airport? Robert looked at me with genuine surprise. Mary, helping you was the best thing I have done in years. You not only rebuilt your own life, but you helped me rebuild mine. What do you mean? Seeing your strength, your ability to start over at 64, inspired me to try to reconcile with my own children. And how did that turn out? Well, my youngest son finally responded to my letters last month. It is a start. The next day, I took Ryan and Sophia to the airport. Amanda had come to pick them up. I saw her waiting in the arrivals area, looking thinner, more tired than before. When we approached, she stood up. For a moment, I thought she was going to yell at me or make a scene, but instead she simply said, "Hello, Mum." "Hello, Amanda." An awkward silence stretched between us as Ryan and Sophia collected their luggage. "They look happy," Amanda finally said. "They had a wonderful vacation." "Mum, she started, then stopped. "What is it, sweetie?" "Nothing. Just take care of yourself." It was not an apology, but it was more than I had expected. As I watched my grandchildren walk away with their mother, I did not feel the despair I had felt before. I felt hope. 6 months later, I received a letter from Amanda, a real, handwritten letter. "Mom," it began, "I have been thinking a lot about what happened between us. I lost my job because I treated older people exactly the way I treated you. Seeing that made me realize some things about myself that I do not like. I am not ready to fully apologize yet, because I am still angry at you for leaving, but I am starting to understand why you did it. The children talk about you all the time, how happy you look, how important your job is, how respected you are. I never saw you that way when you lived here, and that is my fault. I do not know if we can ever fix this between us, but I want you to know that I am trying to be a better person, a better mother. Maybe someday you can be a better daughter too. The children want to visit you again in the summer. If that is okay with you, I would like to send them. Amanda." That night, sitting on my balcony overlooking the city that had become my home, I wrote my response. "Amanda, of course the children can come next summer. And if someday you want to visit me too, you are welcome. But only if you can come as a daughter who respects her mother, not as someone who wants to convince me to go back to being who I was before. I am proud of the woman I have become, and I am not going to apologize for it ever again. With love, Mum." As I sealed the letter, I thought about the journey I had traveled. From being a woman abandoned at an airport to becoming an internationally respected expert. From being seen as a burden to being valued for my wisdom. From living for others to living for myself. I did not know if Amanda and I would ever have the mother-daughter relationship I had always wanted. But for the first time, that was okay. I had a complete and satisfying life, with or without her approval. The next day, as I walked through the halls of the medical center greeting patients who met me with genuine smiles, I realized something. I had found my place in the world, and no one, ever again, could take it from me. That afternoon, Robert found me in my office, smiling as he read progress reports from our patients. "Do you know what the most beautiful thing about your story is, Mary?" he told me. "What?" "That you did not need to take revenge on anyone to find your happiness. You simply chose to value yourself." He was right. The best revenge had not been to hurt Amanda or prove her wrong. The best revenge had been to build a life so full and satisfying that her opinion of me no longer mattered. That night, As I prepared my dinner in my beautiful apartment, my phone rang. It was Sophia. "Grandma, guess what?" "What is it, my love?" "Mum told me I can study business administration when I go to college. She says maybe I can work in hospitals like you." I smiled, feeling a familiar warmth in my chest. "That sounds wonderful, Sophia. Grandma, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you ever afraid of being so far away from us?" I thought about the question seriously. Sometimes I miss not being able to hug you when I want to, but I am not afraid, my love, because I know that no matter where I am, you are in my heart, and I know that no matter what happens, I will never lose myself again. After hanging up, I sat on my balcony once more, watching the lights of Los Angeles stretch to the horizon. At 65 years old, I had learned the most important lesson of my life, that I deserved love, respect, and happiness, and that the only person responsible for ensuring I had them was myself. The woman who had been abandoned at an airport had died. In her place, a woman who knew her worth had been born, and that woman would never again allow anyone to make her feel less than she was. She was free, she was happy, she was enough.